small group of men in the context of a local church. But now here's something that I'm going to challenge you on. If you do that and you get good at it, more young men are going to come. And then more young men are going to come. And then you know what's going to happen? You're going to become exactly what you've run away from. So what is the key? It is not to set up here in this city a theological center of the universe. It's not just to train young men. Let me give you a hint. Start bringing in some pastors. Have a pastors' conference and start teaching pastors to do what you're doing. Because eventually, the young men coming to you, it's going to get so big that you're no longer going to be able to do anything right anymore. Now, he says here, we have 4 things. We have teaching, reproof, correction, and training. Tonight, I just want to talk about teaching for a moment. About teaching. I want to read some things that I've written down here. First of all, teaching here refers to teaching, doctrine, doctrinal truths. And the one thing that you ought to come away with in this is that the Bible is the ultimate source for all spiritual truth, for every truth concerning the Christian life. And that the exposition of Scripture is the means of communicating that truth. Now, I want to say this, first of all, that the commandment to teach people, the commandment to teach young ministers is not fulfilled, has not been fulfilled when the following occurs. When the teacher has only instructed the mind or intellect of the student in matters pertaining to theology, ethics, devotion, or ministry. When that has occurred, teaching has not been accomplished. It has not been accomplished where the teacher has only instructed and admonished the student in the disciplines of experimental religion. When that has occurred, teaching in its fullness has not been accomplished. It has not been accomplished where the teacher has only instructed the student in the practice of ministry, especially when the methodologies are founded upon carnal leadership models and Madison Avenue marketing strategies. Now, this is where we need to stop. I don't know how aware the rest of you are of what's going on in the world, but the greater part of all theological education in the world today has absolutely nothing to do with theology. Has absolutely nothing to do with doctrine or true biblical ministry. We have been invaded by Wall Street, by Madison Avenue. Many young men go off to schools and the only thing that they are going to be taught is how to do something. And not even how to do it according to the Scriptures, but simply how to get it done no matter what it takes. Churches today are being built all over this country, and I use the word church loosely, are being built today all over this country based upon models that have more to do with Walt Disney than they do the Apostle Paul. And we have turned the church into a Six Flags over Jesus. If you are here, you are not here to learn how to go out and do something big. You are here to learn about God from His Word, to find out what He desires and to learn His way in applying that. Another thing I want to say, teaching has not been done, and listen to me carefully, because this is happening all over the place, and it's happening in our convention. It's happening everywhere. Teaching has not been accomplished where the teacher has instructed the student in the fine art of making the church more relevant or palatable to carnal men. The men who do this should know what they're doing. You go on the internet, you go into Christian bookstores, you go into church growth seminars, and you go into many, many seminaries and Bible institutes, and what are you going to find? How to make the church relevant, or how to make the church attractive to the lost community outside its doors. Am I right? Well, let me tell you in very harsh words exactly what that is. It is this. Men who do that are taking the bride of Christ and painting her up like a whore in order to attract as many lewd and carnal men as possible and sell her to them. That is what's going on in this world today. Now, you're here to study. But I hope you're here to study so that you will become men of God. And if you are men of God, you will love the bride of God and you will do anything necessary in your power to protect her, to honor her, and to honor her husband. Look at what we're doing. Pastors go out today, and what do? They send out inquiry into the questionnaires into the community to find out what kind of church the community wants. And then they change her. I want you to think for a moment. I have a little daughter, 2 years old. What Pastor Waldron was saying about his daughter earlier. I mean, I love my boys. But that little girl, now just imagine this little girl. She grows up and she's protected by her mother and her father. 18 years old. Innocent. Doesn't know even much of what's going on in the world. And then some men come by. And they take her. And they strip her of her simple clothing that her father and mother gave her. And they clothe her with the most gaudy, sensual rags. And they paint her eyes. And they redo her hair. And then they march her in front of carnal, wicked men in order to attract them. That is what the pastors in this country are doing to the Church of Jesus Christ. When the judgment of God comes down upon this nation, Hillary Clinton will not be first in line, nor will Barack Obama, but most of the evangelical pastors in America will be first in line. And I want you to know something. My wife were to go to Walmart one night about 11 o'clock to buy something she had forgotten, and some men grabbed her and tried to rape her in a car, and you walked by and you saw it happening, but you were so afraid of your reputation, or so afraid of your place in the denomination, or so afraid of men that you just kept walking by because you didn't want to cause trouble, because you wanted unity. And you let my wife be mauled by those men. After I find those men and deal with them, I'm coming after you. You see, now I've gone from reading notes to preaching. This is what it's about. You are men of God. You're young, yes. You must be trained. Not so you can go out there and have some kind of wonderful ministry and everybody invite you to their conference. You must be trained because there is a bride to love. There is a bride to serve. There is a bride to protect. At all costs. At all costs. And yet instead of teaching men to be men and to love God and to love His bride, we do just the opposite. We send men to be trained on how to make this homely girl that belongs to Christ attractive. Teaching has not gone on when you go to a seminary or a Bible institute that simply teaches you how to strip the bride of Christ of the beautiful, simple garments He has given her and replace them with the gaudy attractions of this world. Remember this, young men. If you are going to use carnal means to attract people into your church one day, you'll have to use greater and greater carnal means to keep them. The commandment to teach has been fulfilled when the full counsel of Scripture has been communicated in matters pertaining to doctrine, ethics, devotion, and ministry, leading to the student's progress in sanctification and usefulness in the ministry. I want to learn. I got here early today and found myself in the library, so I was looking at some of the books. I want to learn. But I don't want to learn for learning's sake. I want to learn about Him.